Hi, my name's Shawn Taylor. That guy down there is my friend Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek. But I always wonder why I introduce you, because you're already on his channel. I guess, well, I guess we have like a decent audio only audience. So, I retract my statement. But in that case, I also retract the part where I physically point to him on video, because you can't see that. So it's just Shawn Taylor and The Objective Geek in some arrangement that doesn't matter to most people. And welcome to Avatar: The Last Podcasters. We're talking about Legend of Korra, Book 4, Balance. Balance? Why does it feel wrong? Why do I feel so unprepared right now? Balance. Chapter 7, Reunion. But before we talk about that, as always, Chris, how are you? What have you been up to?
I am tired, very tired, but for good reasons. My parents are visiting tomorrow, which means I've been spending all day cleaning up, even though they have seen me at my dirtiest, uh, my messiest, but still gotta clean the house.
They
But
have
I'm also tired
literally
because
wiped feces from your hindquarters. Like, you can't
that is,
disappoint them.
it's
I
true.
mean, you can. Don't test me on that.
Yeah. But I'm also tired because I was up till like I went to a 10 o'clock showing, 10 to 15 showing of the Batman last night, which was my second viewing of it. And
Are you
oh,
willing to
also I
give
was
like quick and dirty thoughts?
yeah. I mean, one of these days I would like to for you to watch it and then we can review it. I also want to invite one of my friends. He has his own podcast called J and K Rants. We do a lot of scary movie stuff with. He's really into Batman.
I have
Um,
mild intentions of going tomorrow evening. I have
oh,
not
okay.
I have not confirmed that yet, and it would have to be relatively late tomorrow evening. So I
Yeah.
guess for people listening to this today evening or whatever, Saturday evening, the 12th.
Hmm.
That's my hope. We'll see
Uh,
if it pans out. I don't
yeah,
want to commit to it just yet.
that's okay. What was I gonna say? Oh, one of these days I would like to get in depth, like spoilery review with you and possibly another person. Um, but I can say some general thoughts here is that I love the film. The second time I saw it, it blew me away more than the first time, which is a weird thing. Like the first time I watched it, I wasn't sure what to think sometimes because I just it was new and fresh. I knew I loved it, but in my head I was just like, well, what do I really think about it? And the second time blew me away. And I love Robert Pattinson as Batman. He's a great Batman. The movie is very Batman focused. You know, like most Batman movies. And The Dark Knight has Batman in it, like maybe 50% of the time. This movie has Batman. And when I say Batman, I mean like Batman in the suit.
Right, not
And
Batman as a generic crossover of one of the two, but literally Batman operating
yes,
as Batman.
yeah. Because he's not, and he doesn't even try the whole Playboy Bruce Wayne thing because he's so emo. He doesn't see any need for it. And I love emo Batman. It works for me so well. One thing, the character's pretty emo. Like he's a very emotional character. But right now, it is probably within all my rankings of Batman films. It's tied for third with Dark Knight Rises.
I have.
First being, I
Oh,
would
I'm
say
sorry to
first being
interrupt you.
Batman Begins. Second was The Dark Knight, and
I think this is just me making a prediction that has I have no basis for this. But based on, so I have Chris, you are my most trusted friend reviewer of movies, and I don't watch other movie reviewers, so I guess that you are my most trusted reviewer of movies. And then there's two other people that kind of share similar just nerd taste to us that are in my friend group that I always read their Facebook posts when they go see a movie or whatever. And based on those people's commentary, I do. This sounds weird. I almost have a fear that I'm gonna like it more than the Christopher Nolan movies, if that makes sense. So, like, I don't want to because, especially, I'm one of those people. I love Dark Knight, despite the long runtime. That was always like my only complaint, which is not the worst complaint to have for a very good movie. Um, but it's like
hey,
a
this one's longer than The Dark Knight,
yeah, and I
FYI.
that's gonna be. I have a feeling that's gonna be. I don't do well sitting in one place. I'm always nervous about
Dark
going to
Knight is too
theaters, but
long at all. I'm sorry, keep going. What was
No,
your
I just,
preference?
it's one of those things where you're kind of like, your brain is like afraid of sunk costs. Be like, what if I see it? And what if I like it more than The Dark Knight Rises? And then will that make me mad? And it's like, no, that means it's good. You just saw a good movie, but then your brain's just like, no, that's not okay. I spent all this time
Yeah,
liking this other movie. No, I'm not trying to make any presumptions, but the reviews that I have heard from you and from others have they've gotten my hopes up pretty high. I'm very excited.
yeah. It's interesting. Like I didn't think they would ever make a movie like this again, right? Because Batman Begins, if Batman Begins came out today, he would be like, well, "Where's all the action?" They'll be like, "Where is like the quips
We've
and
been jaded
stuff?"
by two
And
decades of Marvel stuff.
yeah,
Jaded may
like
not be the right
Batman
word.
Begins takes is a very in-depth look at Bruce Wayne as a character first, and everything kind of comes second to that. The Dark the Dark Knight is like we're gonna take an in-depth look at everyone, at Batman, at Commissioner Gordon, at the Joker, at Harvey Dent,
Is it fair to
and then
say
Dark Knight
there's
Rises.
more action in The Dark Knight? There's more things happening all the time, it feels like.
Oh yeah, it's one of the most intense movies I've ever watched. Like, and so the Batman is like a cross between the Dark Knight and Batman Begins. Centric Batman story. Like he has a clear character arc from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie. And I consider Batman Begins the most aspirational and inspirational superhero movie of all time. Like I try to live by the quotes in that movie. I love the quotes in that movie. Specifically the it's not who we are underneath, but we do but what we do that defines us. Absolutely love that quote. And then they have a lot of stuff in there about the difference between justice and vengeance. Like Richard Dawes says, vengeance is about you making yourself feel better, justice is about you making the world better. And the Batman very much focuses in on that vengeance piece. Vengeance is a huge aspect of the film. Like, what does it mean to commit yourself fully to vengeance? What do you sacrifice in it? What type of symbol do you become for good or for bad? So, those are like the type of things, that type of introspective character study type of stuff, I absolutely love. Like, I don't even need that much. And this movie has action in it. It definitely does. But the things that makes me love it the most is those more quieter character moments. There's also some really great Catwoman moments. I love Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. I think I can confirm now. After my first viewing, she was only my second favorite to Anne Hathaway's Catwoman, but I think I confirm that she's now my favorite Catwoman.
Is that Community and I just haven't got there where they're listing their favorite Catwomen? Or is that, am I thinking a different TV show?
It
That's
might be.
Community, right?
It sounds familiar.
It's like season 4 or season 5.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say Batman Begins is a very Christopher Nolan movie? Like, I mean, obviously it's a Batman movie, but if you take away the Batman part, you're just like, yeah, that's pure Christopher Nolan, like top to bottom, just everything about Batman Begins. And then Dark Knight, for better or for worse, I would say for better because I prefer the movie. Feels more like kind of, yes, a super intense modern superhero movie. But one of the most interesting things that I've heard about this one so far from you and or uh, other people is the idea that focuses on heavy on Batman, and then one of my other friends mentioned like the sounds, like the sort of
Yes. No, yeah,
crunching
Shawn.
gore of
I,
these.
I I I'm not like a big sound person, except for really with Avatar. Because the sound of bending and everything, like the
Mhm.
sound design in Avatar is so great. But for some reason, the sound of this movie, like I think they might win an Oscar for sound design. Like there is a certain like when Batman walks, there's a scene. Anytime Batman walks, he doesn't have spurs. Like he's not wearing spurs, but you hear this clicking and it sounds like spurs. And then when he moves, like just you can hear the rubber in his suit like move. And then when he punches people, of course, you hear that punch. And I was glad I went to a better theater the second time I watched it, where the sound where they picked up on all of that. But yeah, the sound was really good. And the sound of the Batmobile was good. Like
I'm
that
really excited
engine.
to. Well, and we've talked in the past. I usually don't notice sound and I think this is common, is that I don't notice sound unless it's bad or annoying, right? Like it blends in more
Mhm.
often. But it's safe to say that I will have a much fonder appreciation or be able to appreciate that more now than, like 4 years ago pre-podcast for sure. Just
Yeah.
sort of being enlightened or educated on how to pay attention to those things. So I'm very excited. And that was like the first words out of another friend's mouth was like, I don't know how to describe it, but the sounds in this movie were so intense. It's like, what does that mean? So I'm very
Yeah.
excited to
That's-
see that now. But hopefully tomorrow
no, I get
evening,
it.
and then it would be really cool to do an in-depth whatever you have in mind, just to sit down and talk through
Yeah.
it spoiler free. Be very
Yeah.
exciting.
I mean, I do have some gripes with the film.
Sure.
After my second watch, the gripes weren't as bad as after the first watch because I noticed they explained a couple different things instead of a few things. Um, but and I haven't put it into my rating system because I haven't put any movies into my rating system in a while because
In
I'm a
like a
lazy
year and a
YouTube
half, I'm gonna
reviewer.
call you on your crap, Chris.
uh,
I love
but
the
if I had to
system,
guess,
Chris. Put them through the system.
I, if I had to guess, it'll probably be at like an 8.8. If I had to guess.
That's fair. Or maybe it's not. I don't know. I haven't seen it. What am I saying?
Yeah.
Maybe it's terribly unfair. But, well, excellent. I'm glad you went back for the second viewing. I feel like, as a person who, I always feel like I'm adamantly against spoilers. I don't care if you don't want spoilers, that's great or whatever. It never bothers me or whatever. But it's like, I don't want people's first opinion of the movie to be their lasting one. And I mean, like with all media or
Yeah.
with any book or any media, like I want people to sort of study things and appreciate them or whatever. I don't know.
No,
So
definitely. Like, and the reason, and I think this movie could end up being, uh, like my second favorite movie, my second favorite Batman movie of all time. Like, it took a long time for me to to fully accept that Batman Begins. It's like it probably took on my third rewatch of it to be like, this is my favorite movie of all time. Like for a while there, I had Batman '89 as the best Batman movie. That's my favorite one. And now I watch it, I'm just like this. I just don't have the same love
it's
for
not that
it.
it's wrong Batman, it's just Batman of a different era that I don't have
Yeah,
much interest in personally. No offense, Michael Keaton.
like also I've become so much of a better reviewer now. I think like there's really no character arcs throughout this film. There's I'm not sure what's even driving any of the characters, but I don't know, that might be even kind of an unfair statement. But I watched it the other day and I just got kind of nothing out of it.
I just got Batman '89 and Batman Returns, the two Michael Keaton ones,
Yes.
on Blu-ray. Um, just very randomly got them the other day, and so I'm excited to actually watch them in Blu-ray because I have not seen those movies in like a decade. Probably, I've never had any interest in going back and rewatching them. Not opposed to them, they don't appeal to me. But I will watch them now on Blu-ray in high def. Maybe even on. I'm getting a new TV over in my remodeled basement, and it will easily be the best TV. We'll get it good and dark and watch them like as good as I could humanly watch them, and we'll see. But I have had zero desire to watch any of the previous Batmans for like a decade.
Yeah, that's right.
Not to be offensive to
Oh,
the
I forgot to
wealth of
say.
Michael Keaton fans out there. Not That's not my
Yeah.
purpose.
I forgot to say, I was had the great pleasure of being on the this podcast called Comic Binge with like some people that I used to follow. They like my first podcast I listened to was Modern Myth Media. They talk about which one thing they just name Modern Myth Media. I always love that name because it was so indicative of superheroes in our current day and time because they are modern myths. So that was like the first podcast I listened to when I was listening to podcasts, and they've kind of broken up and gone off on different podcasts and stuff. I was on this podcast called Comic Binge, and we was doing a kind of in-depth review of the Batman. That was a lot of fun. So check that out.
We will have to put the link to that video down in the description. Chris, if you remind me when we're done here, I'll put that down in there,
Yes.
including the guy who sounds like Paul Rudd.
He sounds okay. Everyone, I really want to know if I'm crazy or not. Anyone listening to this, please go to that video. Go about the 2 minute I'm sorry, yeah, 2 minute and 10 second mark. A guy will start talking, and he sounds exactly like Paul Rudd to me. Like the cadence and everything, the tone. Like it was just I was cracking up laughing because I was like, oh my gosh, I was having fun through the podcast because I was just imagining I was talking to Paul Rudd. And he kind of looks like Paul Rudd too. Also, it's hard to because he's on a camera on a quarter of the screen, and he just looks like a kind of a longer haired with the beard Paul Rudd. It's just like, oh man,
I'm gonna bring everything we've talked about so far full circle. Last Saturday, I babysat for one of those other friends whose opinions on movies I value while he went to watch the Batman. So I babysat his kids, me and my wife. And they're like really young, like they were asleep by the time the parents left. So when I said babysat, I mean I sat on his couch and played his video games. Um, and so uh, previously, like I got those two Batman Blu-rays from him for something unrelated, and then he watched the Batman. I watched his kids, and that night while we were babysitting, I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp with Paul Rudd in it. And then 2 days later, you're like, hey, is this guy sound like somebody? And I was like, I don't know who you mean. You're like, Paul Rudd. And all I can picture is Paul Rudd pulling the cards out of his mouth because he learned close-up magic tricks in his boredom. And that's my full circle everything, tie everything together moment here.
nice.
It was very appropriate, but also Ant-Man and the Wasp, I don't care for it. I don't know if I've seen it before. Like, it's not, I
Not a
don't know.
great film.
It's I'm sure there's people that like it, and I'm sure that's totally fine. I don't know if I need to see it again. I would say similar about Ant-Man probably, even though it is funny, and I tend to be pro
I don't
funny.
care for Ant-Man either.
I tend to be
Like,
pro funny stuff. But if I want to watch a
yeah,
funny Marvel movie, I'm gonna go Ragnarok, I think, or
yeah, I knew you say that.
Guardians of the Galaxy, or Ragnarok probably.
I don't know what would be my funny.
If you need, I'm
What superhero movie would I watch if I want to get a laugh?
if you want
I really
action
don't
but a
know
little
that.
lighthearted, Chris, you strike me as a Guardians 1 guy. I would lean Guardians 1, I think.
Okay.
I don't know if you have a better answer. I'm just making a guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
Huh?
Anyway,
Interesting. That's my full circle. Chris, I'm glad you got to watch the Batman. I had my wife and I had a smidge of a rough week last week, so I've been very into comfort food. I've been watching the Community TV show again for like the fifth or sixth time, which doesn't sound like a lot, but the first time I watched
you've
Community
watched
was
it more than I have, Shawn.
and
Like,
and
Community
you
isn't a show that I've watched. I've probably watched it at most 1.5 times.
I had
No, that I
seen
mean, I've seen seasons like 1 through 3 a couple different times,
good, good.
and then after that, I've seen them probably like one or two. I've seen all the episodes like once, some of them twice, depending on how good they are.
I had not watched. I'm gonna say I'd seen maybe a third of the episodes prior to you saying, Shawn, you should just go watch Community, and then I bought like 2 seasons of DVDs at what's that place we have here called? I can't think. Vintage Stock. I watched them and I fell in love. And so within the time that we have been podcasting, I've probably seen it 5 times, like roughly once a year, give or take. But yeah, been doing comfort food things. Been doing that, and then playing Pokemon Arceus, Legends Arceus, like very much the comfort food of entertainment this week. But it's been good, and I've enjoyed it. Someday I'll make a Pokemon Legends Arceus review because it's been an entertaining play. So, but in the meantime, we have an actual episode of a TV show that we care about to talk about here. As Book 4 Balance Chapter 7 reunion of The Legend of Korra. Chris, if you would like to walk us through the episode, I gotta be honest, it's been
Oh
two
my.
weeks since I watched this. I hope it comes back to me.
Let's see. Okay, so yawn, yawn, yawn.
It's it's
um,
later than normal, and we're both clearly tired, and I'll apologize in advance.
no, full on energy here. Okay, so Republic City and Tenzin, what the heck do they got to do with each other?
I don't know. Here, let
Oh,
me just put
of
them all
course.
up here, and you
Sorry,
can figure it out.
Korra's back in Republic City after getting defeated by Kuvira, and fans have never let that down. Like someone was just saying in one of my videos, like Korra got beat in the Avatar state by this person, and like what show's gonna be in the Avatar state? I'm like, you're clearly not looking at the context around all those times that she got beat. Like she's dealing with PTSD against Kuvira, against Sahir, she was being poisoned, and against Unalaq, she was facing another Avatar. Like these are good reasons to not defeat a person in the Avatar state.
But Aang never
But nah,
had
then they don't
PTSD.
talk.
Boom, point Aang.
Yeah, yeah. But then Aang got struck by lightning though in the Avatar state, nearly for the connection. But no, Aang's a saint. He's perfect. Anyway, I find myself being like more jaded by towards Aang, just because like he has so many people who just love him, who seemingly love him more than Korra, and don't count his faults and stuff. And so I don't want like I love Aang, but then also I naturally want to build up an offense against Aang because so many people just
Just prefer him because of
unabashedly
their
love him. Yeah,
show preference and not good reasons.
yeah,
I
yeah,
Nobody will ever like my answer because so far I feel more grounded in my existing answer, which I've always said is like, I feel like 9 out of 10 times that Korra would not be able to get a hold of Aang or like get a shot off on Aang or like actively defeat
yeah.
Aang, in which we couldn't decide among the two of us who that actually meant that was a victory for, and because I always like a draw
I
is a
think
victory for Aang. And I have yet to see anything that makes me feel like I'm gonna budge off that stance, and so I'm just gonna be a boring neutral party until I die. Nobody's ever gonna watch my opinions anymore.
yeah. I'm just saying, if I was in a fight, if the purpose of a fight is to fight, and you're not fighting,
Because
then
Aang
you lose the
wouldn't fight.
fight.
He wouldn't do it. I'm sorry.
So if that's the case, then let's not count it as a fight, and then say that Korra would beat Aang 1 out of 1 times. 100% of the time, Korra would beat Aang in a fight.
I would say that 10% of
You've
the
been
time,
lawyered.
10% of
You've
the
been
time,
lawyered.
10% of the time, she
I
would beat
just
Aang
Jeff
in a
Reeded
fight,
you.
and the other 90% of the time, nothing valuable would occur.
No, we're redefining what a fight is. Therefore, in these 10 cases, one of these cases is a fight, which Korra wins 1 out of 1 time.
I thought you said
Hence,
10 paces, like they have to walk 10 paces, then turn around and
10
go
paces.
Avatar Status.
Spin. It should be that.
I mean,
They,
that would solve some of your problem of like, listen, you have to fire a shot of some type. You got to walk your 10 paces, and then you have to turn around and
I'm
do something.
I'm taking Korra in that fight. Well, let's see. A 10 pace
See, Aang would still just, that still doesn't solve the problem
draw.
because Aang would still just jump. He'd just jump
I think
really
he
high.
would,
And
but also he wouldn't. Hmm, that's an interesting thought.
how you
I'm
gonna
actually
force
not.
them? I'm more interested in how we're going to force them to fight each other physically without Aang being able to be evasive, but then without it to just becoming like a weightlifting competition in the of
Well, at that point,
bending
if
swords.
you say they can't move because in a draw, you can't just do 10 paces and then like run behind a barrel and shoot at the
What
person.
if
No,
it's
you
like
got.
basketball? What if they have to stay in their cylinder, right? So like you get 10 paces and then you're not allowed any left or right. So you just up and down.
I
You get a
don't
cylinder.
know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's a terrible idea. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out how to force them to fight, or maybe you just got to put the circumstance like, Aang, if you don't actively win, you don't get whatever this is. Maybe it's just the carrot that you put at the end of it. Like, Aang, a draw is a loss. You have to actively win in order to get this trophy.
Yeah.
Now, what do?
Okay.
Not a trophy, but
Uh,
save a child's
so
life or
Korra's
something.
back in Public City, reunited with Tenzin, and and she pretty much tells. them what Kuvira is doing, how wait, she doesn't know about the spirit bomb. Anyway, just tells us how Kuvira is doing. And then I'm gonna just talk about the A plot right here. She meets up with Asami and Mako because they're this whole part of the reunion, and then they kind of get on each other's nerves because they haven't seen each other in a while. Like no one's necessarily wrong in these conversations. It's just how friends talk every now and then. Korra and Asami are seeming a lot closer than they previously were. Even Mako's like, "What's going on between you two?" Like, I wonder is that the way the creators were just like, "There's something going on between those two." Even Mako
It
is
feels to me like it's very active. Like there's a big sort of jump in I don't
in
know.
perception of the relationship.
Yeah, it feels very active to
Yeah,
me.
yeah, I think so. Yeah. Um. So then Prince Wu's being annoying. I don't. He's in this episode. He's more fun annoying to me. I don't know why, but he's better for me in this episode. Like, there's a point in time where he's like talking to Corey. He's like, "Ooh, can you go to the Avatar state? I want to see your eyes glow." Like, I don't know why. It's funny to me. Um, and then let's see. So then Mako doesn't follow him into the bathroom. He usually does. I feel like Mako just didn't fall into the bathroom this time because he doesn't want to be embarrassed in front of his friends. Like these two have been off doing things, and he's just babysitting this little brat. Anyway,
That's a
he gets
very
kidnapped.
polite way to word what he is.
Yeah, he gets kidnapped, and so they have to find him. And they, I mean, it's kind of straightforward. They chase down the people in Kuvira's army, and of course, able to find him through the spirit vines, which is pretty interesting that she doesn't need to have like a strong connection with a person, just has to know them, and she can kind of find them. And Aang was never able to do that. He was only able to find Appa that time. You
Who hurt you, Chris? Who hurt
know.
you?
um, and I think I kind of want to make more Facebook, not Facebook, more YouTube videos, just Aang slander. just, just
You're just making a what do you call it? A
like
I can't even think when
counter
artists drop
programming.
tracks that talk shit on each other. What's that called?
Oh, diss track.
A diss track. You're just gonna
Oh,
drop Aang
yeah.
diss tracks. Why is my
The thing
brain
is,
not working today?
I already have like the thumbnail in my head, which is like worst written character. Why Aang is a worst written character. Now,
First of all,
even
that
though
better have a picture of Jet on it, or I'm not watching.
I honestly think that Aang is the worst written character. The thing is
No,
though,
no,
that's
Jet is corny garbage.
oh, but Jet has an arc.
It's a dumb arc.
Jet is a tragic character. Like he ends up being killed by Earth Kingdom person, head of state. Like the irony there is overwhelming. While Aang really has no arc. I love that he's the worst written character. Is more of a testament to the great written characters around Aang. And but that being said, like I would probably come across as if I hate Aang. I don't hate Aang, but
But
yeah.
relatively, he hates Aang. On a curve, he hates Aang.
I like Aang more than pretty much every character in Avatar except for Iroh and Korra, maybe Zuko.
I
Yeah.
think I think Aang is hurt to some degree by only seeing a much narrower slice of his life. I think that harms some of our visage of his character, but that's just an opinion. A much
Yeah.
smaller slice of his life.
Anyway, so they track Prince Wu to the train station. Person who ends up on the train, they have to follow, and have a pretty, pretty cool fight with these other with people in Korea's army, and they have to. Well, I like seeing. I would like to see this train sequence prolonged. Because I don't know. I've been thinking about chase scenes a lot because I watched the Batman, and a lot of people say the chase scene in the Batman is like the best chase scene. So I've been thinking about chase scenes often. It's kind of a chase scene, and then it also reminded me of the train scene in
Batman Begins.
the
Oh.
Wolverine in the Wolverine. So it's pretty great train chase scene in the Wolverine. Um, I feel like I should rank real quick. I'll rank my favorite Batman chase scenes. The Batman would probably be like fourth favorite,
Okay.
maybe even fifth favorite. Honestly, fifth favorite.
Ooh.
And then so I'm gonna go the Batman fifth favorite. So these are like Batmobile chase scenes. Zack Snyder's Justice League. So I just like the way that the Batmobile sounds in that. For also reference Batman v Superman chase scene that would be lower than the Batman because Batman kills so many people in that chase scene, and it annoys me. Like he is just there's a scene, there's this guy on the back of a truck, and Batman like jumps, his tire hits the guy's head, and then there's a lot of other scenes of him just firing these guns at the back of a Jeep until the Jeep is just dissolved and there's people in it. And then he like hooks like with a cable, one car just yo-yos it around. And it's just and when I was watching, I was this is really
Yeah, those
cool. But
people are dead.
like why like
No, they're just asleep.
taking little naps.
Just taking
Just like
naps.
my parents.
It's been so long since I watched those. It's probably time again.
Yeah. So then what am I at?
I don't
Number three?
know.
I'm at number three.
Number
Number
three, yeah.
three chase scene will probably be The Dark Knight Rises. At the end there, we have to get rid of the bomb. And then number two, uh, it's kind of a tie between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight chasing is really cool because it's kind of twofold. You have Batman in the Tumbler, and then like the mission is to get the Joker. Like, and then he ends up on the bat, like the bat pod comes out of the tumbler. There's a whole new chase scene now. Has a
That
whole
was a
kind of
really
different feel
cool
to it.
first time thing to
Yeah,
see. Yeah,
it that was
vividly
really. You
remember
know
my
what?
first time seeing that.
Yeah, that might be number one. Because also when that ends, you almost think it's the end of the movie because
It
they
feels like
caught
it
the
could
Joker.
be.
Yeah,
And also, you'd already been watching for 2 hours at that point.
yeah, something like that.
It's at these long
Um,
ass run times. I don't have that kind of attention span movies.
and then Batman Begins chase scene is really good because like that one has a lot of stakes in it because Batman's trying to save Rachel from the Scarecrow toxin. But you know what? I'll probably put The Dark Knight at number one and The Batman Begins at number two. Yeah. All right. Anyway, nice little divergence there.
That's like a commercial for your other videos.
Yeah. So Cora, and then like I said, I would like the chasing to be longer because just on a high, fast-pacing train, like in this universe, to have a fight on top of is really cool. So we like it longer. I mean, but I liked it nonetheless. And they jump off. Cora saves everybody with the airbending. And then they apologize to each other. And they hug. And Cora uh keeps Prince Wu away. I love Cora's no nonsense approach to Wu because it's also I love her no nonsense approach. It reminds me of that her no nonsense approach to Napoleon Dynamite airbending character. I love when Cora's like this.
That looks like Mako's arm, but I think it's got a blue sleeve. I think that's Korra.
Oh, it's Cora's on.
Yeah,
Yeah, when I
sticking
want, yeah, it
her.
was definitely Cora's on.
That's great.
Yeah. So, and then he's like, "You guys are the best friends anyone can have." Like the naivety is funny to me.
Poor kid is
And
well.
like
It's
they're
kind of
not.
revealing. Like that guy's never had a friend before.
That's true.
His whole
The thing
life.
is, there's a scene in the comic book where they're all like in a sauna. It's like Bolin, them three, and maybe someone. Oh, Julie, and they're all just like sort of in bathing suits in a sauna, just hanging out. And they're trying to think of like ways to help the Earth Empire through because of whatever thing is going on. And so they kind of do become a little closer. But anyway, um,
I can go back to
that
my
is
help. Sometimes I wonder if my bullet points actually harm your mental
no, they
process
help
more
me
than they
out.
help.
No, they help me out. No, they definitely help me out. On to the B plot, which I feel like is more. I mean, it's not the A plot, but I like the B plot more. Is Varric
It has a much
and
smaller timestamp, but it feels very impactful. But I think it has a much smaller
yeah, no,
timestamp
I
in the
think
episode.
so, right? Because this is all about Bolin's redemption, Bolin and Varric's redemption. Like they've been
And it's
in
like
the
talking
inner
about two of my
circle.
favorite characters here.
Yeah, they're in the inner. They were in the inner circle of Kuvira, and they do and should hold some responsibility for what she's been doing. Either they turn a blind eye to it, or they helped out with it.
And
And
it's
so they,
immediately clear here. What I like about it is they're to a place where, I mean, it's keep in mind what show you're watching. It's not like they're throwing themselves out there, but like there's a clear implication of dangerous consequences to what they're doing. Like they're not skirting off and hiding. It's very obvious that what they're doing is going to be terribly dangerous. So it's not like a
mm,
1-to-1 for accountability, but it's a great start.
yeah.
They're not just like I'm
Uh,
sorry and then hiding.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, Bolin even says to Varric, like, "Hey, if you want to help out, want to get over this guilt, like you have to make amends. You have to put some action behind it." Which is good because this is Varric's character arc becoming more so coming around, and Bolin's a good help to that. So they come across some uh, Earth, well, some different refugees. Essentially, they're hiding out from the Earth. James Clear is trying to uh, cleanse, ethnic cleansing. Yeah, she's gone absolutely full Hitler here, which I kind of wish that they didn't, just because it.
They could have made her slightly like they could have drug out this kind of gray area empathy that we have for her a little longer, a little better, or a little not better, a little
Yeah,
stronger.
like it's it's always difficult, I think, writing a villain with a very compelling case.
It would have been really cool if the turning point for us as the audience, and maybe it was for some people, but if the turning point for us as the audience was when she decided she was okay that Batar was going to die, essentially, instead
Mm,
of
mm,
instead of so
okay.
much of these sort of leading up elements that already
Yeah.
like had pushed us a little farther and farther off the idea. That would have been a
Hmm.
really cool turning point. Like even up to that point, you're like, all right, I know she's crazy, but she's still got good points. But then she's gonna kill
Yeah.
Batar, and you're like, hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of like when does she take that turn to evil? And when you're saying that she's doing these ethnic cleansing, she's doing these re-education camps, which are clearly a nod to concentration camps, um, that turns her into evil. Then, granted, she isn't like evil in the sense of Fire Lord or anything like that, but she's now clearly in the evil side when before it was just like, well, no, she's not evil. Like she doesn't want Prince Wu to rule this country. Sure, she's going
Yeah,
about it in
we
a
get it. Have you
very
seen that guy?
yeah,
We've already. It's just
but
that
they had
we've
to make
already
it
moved off of our empathy at this point, and they could have drug
yeah,
that out longer if they had wanted. And I'm sure there's a
yeah. No, I think you're right.
reason they didn't.
Um, and like
Or if there had been like a
right,
red herring where we didn't know if she was gonna like be okay with killing Batar or not, and she had had that like waffling moment herself, like, am I gonna do that? Yeah. Oh, that'd have been cool.
yeah,
Anyway, sorry,
yeah.
different
No,
topic.
and I
Different
feel the
day.
same thing happened to Killmonger in Black Panther.
Oh
Like
yeah.
he has a very compelling case. He's like, hey, Wakanda. has been on the sidelines for that past forever, and black people have gone through slavery and so many things. Like, no more of that. We gotta get involved. We gotta um, go help out our people. And then he was like, now we're dropping bombs on, and we're gonna send missiles out to all these things. So, oh, you crossed the evil line there.
You
Like they
escalated
had
that
to make,
very differently than we
yeah,
would
like
have.
they had to clearly make him evil. If not, the audience is stuck like rooting for him.
You like accidentally cause an uprising in the movie theater with like a motivating, yeah,
Yeah,
which I feel like is bad for ticket sales or really good for ticket sales. Actually, I don't know. It could go
yeah,
either way.
yeah. All these white kids saying, "F the police, F the
Sea
police."
of drunk white toddlers.
I
So excited. So excited.
don't think we've mentioned to the party that we're going to go see John Mulaney
I
coming
don't
up
think we
soon.
have. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
coming.
big news also.
We have said for like probably years that like, hey, if he comes to Kansas City, we gotta check it out. And he came and like that day bought some tickets. Very excited. Chris,
Yeah.
we planned a vacation and we were planning it for that week and we instantly like we hadn't settled it yet, but we instantly moved it like, nope, I'm going to John Mulaney. Vacation can wait. John Mulaney only here once.
Wait here, but I mean, the thing is, that was like some dates added to his original dates, I think.
And
Yeah.
it's possible he's been here before. I don't know. I don't follow that close. But in the time that we have paid attention, he has not been here.
For
So
sure.
at least
Mhm.
4 years, bare minimum, if not a little more.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, July 23rd, Kansas City, 7 p.m. at Starlight Theater, something like that.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Okay, so then they try to cross this like border thing, and Bolin convinces them to trust him because he pretty much lava bends. It's like, yeah, and the guy's like, I mean, these guys could have killed us. So they work together to try and get across the border thing. They got to make Bolin and Varric pretend like they're leading them into a new camp, and then and I do like how they lie to them at first and get past it. Even Varric is really good in on the lie. But then they have wanted posters up. They get into this pretty cool fight. And the thing I love about this fight is that the fight's going on. Varric is finally showing himself to be very, very capable, more than capable. And you're kind of wondering what he's doing. And for a while before he does it, I'm like, is he going to create an EMP? But that was kind of just a straight thought in my head. And then he does it. I'm like, holy crap, he created an EMP like out of nothing.
Hmm. No, it didn't even occur to me at the time, honestly.
Okay. I think maybe I've just been playing a lot of Batman, and he has this. In one of the games, he has this EMP emitter,
Is
so
that
that was
City?
like an option. I want to say yes.
Interesting. Huh. Chris, someday I don't know if you have a Wii U, but City on the Wii U is extra cool because I do actually love the way that it uses the gamepad for some of your like for some of the game actual gameplay features. Like it actually feels like a feature instead of a stupid hindrance. So I honestly recommend if you're out there, Arkham City. It's got a like Arkham City Armored Edition. I want to say
Yeah.
on the Wii U specifically because the way it uses the Wii U gamepad is actually kind of cool. Don't tell Nintendo I said that.
Yeah. So then they have a fight, and they end up beating him, and the other people start to trust him, Bolin even more, and then they get on the boat and they get going. I feel like there's lots of miss. There's something I'm missing that I wanted to talk about. Can't remember. I should have wrote it down.
Are you referring to in that storyline or just the next bit where we see Kuvira's army starting to harvest the spear vines?
No,
Or you're in that
within
other
one of
story?
those
Okay.
stories. Either one, I forget which one. There's something I was like, oh, I should write this down. It's an interesting thing to me, but I can't remember.
Trivia question one for Comic Con. What was Chris trying to remember? Go.
Yeah. Then you see Kuvira and them at the tree in the swamp. Would it be really interesting if Kuvira I would love this actually. If she got lost in the swamp, like in that episode, Remembrances, they should have one thing more build up to Korrasami, and also just have Kuvira. Yeah, honestly, I would love that if she went to the swamp. Like I think the swamp would mess her up so bad. It'll probably. Honest, oh, ooh, okay.
It's
This is
Remembrances
what I like to
next.
have.
Is that right after this? I
I don't
think it
know.
is. Let me
Oh,
skip.
it is.
Let me skip
It
ahead of
is
the
actually,
PowerPoint here for a
yes.
sec. No, I can't skip ahead. I'll show you ratings. I think it is though. Remembrances coming up
It
next.
is.
That'll be the
Yeah.
most awkward thing we will review in determining how to actually review it.
Yeah. I gotta make sure I watch the one with commentary. But so I was gonna say is I would love if Kuvira, the swamp is trying to tell you something, you know.
The
It's
swamp
all
is a
love if
character. It is
yes.
alive. It is trying to communicate with other characters.
Yeah. So I would love if the swamp was trying to tell Kuvira something and she something that's like, hey, this is you remember when you didn't have everything and Suyin was when it took you in and stuff like that. And it just showed her kind of flashbacks or something like that.
Remember
But
when
then
you
she would
weren't
completely
Hitler?
take
Do you remember?
yeah. But then she would completely take it the wrong way. And then it would words more being evil and diabolical stuff or I don't know, it could just inform the character in just completely wrong way.
I actually do like that instead of breaking her down, you get like a biblical Pharaoh Moses thing where it just sort of hardens her resolve. Like, yes, and I will now share this
Mm.
with the world, or like some garbage like
Yeah.
that. I kind of dig that. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that ends the episode.
Let's jump into some ratings. I this our numbers aren't numerically super different, but it was just interesting to see. I had you pegged for much different than where you landed, but anyway,
Audio visual, 7.5. 7.5. I guess so. I was going back between an 8 and this. I think the fight train scene sequence is really good. I think the stuff in Berlin is really good. So, 7.5. Then story. Wait,
that
I did
ain't
not give
right.
story a
Nah, that's got to be
six.
wrong. No,
Oh
you put a 7.
yeah.
Typo? I believe you had a straight 7 there.
All right. Story. I think there's some great Marco Bolin stuff. There's a couple, not Marco Bolin,
I'll verify my phone
Bolin,
because I feel bad.
Bolin Varric stuff, especially with Varric's character arc. And then there's some good core time stuff. I mean, that story isn't the main plot of that Ace plot isn't that important.
I
Him getting
didn't.
kidnapped and stuff.
I didn't put your ratings in right. I think I got the final in right. You had audiovisual 8.5, story 7.5.
Okay, I
My
thought it was
bad.
a little bit higher.
Nope,
Okay,
my fault.
that's fine. But memorable. I think what I give memorable. I feel like I gave it like a 6.5, maybe, or
7.
maybe it was a 7.
I was curious what you put
Okay,
here. 7. Oh,
yeah,
see,
because
but
this is one I'm just
I
like,
adjusted your total, but I didn't change the other three numbers. But your total's right because I'm stupid. That's weird.
okay. Um, that's one episode where I could I could just not watch this episode. Honestly, it'd be perfectly fine. Like it
I
doesn't have a huge impact on the story.
I had you pegged
Yeah.
as being higher on this one to the point where I was nervous about my own scores. I felt like I was gonna. I don't know why. I was like, Chris is gonna love this episode. I don't hate it at all. So I did audiovisual 8. Same things you said. Nice train scene. Honestly, maybe not a ton of other stuff stood out to me other than just you get to see a little swamp, cool train scene, Little Republic City. I always like those diverse things, but nothing jumped out. So it's like I guess it's an 8. And then my story I did an 8 is like okay, there's a lot of like not small but like impactful things that happen, but they're not huge picture impactful. Like
Mhm.
they're still nice to haves, not need to haves, but they're good. So okay, 8. And then my memorable, I was like, I don't know what to do with this either, so I'm just gonna give it an 8 because some nice character stuff happens that I cling to, but nothing that jumps off the page at me. But for some reason, I had you pegged as being like this was gonna be an episode that I thought you would like. For some reason, I don't know why that jumped to me that way. But in the
Huh.
end, I gave
I mean,
it.
I liked it.
I thought you were gonna be really big on it for some reason. I don't know why I
Okay,
had
yeah.
that in my
Definitely
head.
wasn't really big on.
No, and I have no. There was no basis for me to feel that way. But long story short, you came out with a 7.8. I came out with an 8. And I put a 7.9. So ultimately, it was very close. I did enjoy it. I would never like actively skip it for any reason. But I can see exactly why you just be like, you know what, you wouldn't have to watch it.
Yeah,
Action or pivotal plot point wise, it's not huge. So I could get on that train, pun intended.
yeah, yeah. Remembrance's Nets, which is
I'm wondering if remembrances, if we should have like a review not knowing context and then a review knowing context. Like if we should have duplicate, like what do you call it? Two different timelines.
you know, we should do at, at some point. We should do what we would what we would actually do for remembrances, maybe.
Oh,
Like, what
like
would we
if we had an
prefer?
episode to work with.
Yeah,
Okay, I dig that. So
I don't know if that should come at the end of this season or sometime, maybe after. I don't know,
we got
but
a
at some
week to
point.
mull it over if you want to pull it next week, and if not, we've got like 3 or 4 weeks to mull it over at the end of the season. I'd like to see us attack it in some way that is critical outside of context. Outside, like you're just a kid watching this on TV, and it comes
Yeah,
on
yeah.
TV. But then I think it's completely fair and even necessary as adult humans, knowing what we know, to look at it slightly differently.
One of these days, I would love to know what Mike and Brian were going to do with this episode.
That'd be great.
Like,
We'll definitely plug that in, whether it's next week or a week after or after the whole season. But I think it's a solid plan. We haven't done a good
yeah.
what if in a while.
What if remembrances had money
What if remembrance?
to
What
go
if
in?
remembrances was not a bottle episode?
Yeah.
Bottle episode, bottle episode, bottle episode.
Oh, I love that episode so much. You
I still don't like that one so much, but
don't love it?
I've come
I could watch the
around.
bottle episode like, oh,
I've come
okay.
around really
It's
hard on the other. I forget the dice, the 7 different timelines
yeah,
one. That one used to annoy me because there's so much repetitive things in it. But the
yeah.
cleverness with which that is written, and then the way that it plays into the rest of this season, but not heavy-handedly, not subtly, somewhere in between. I've really
The
come
bottle
around hard on that
episode,
one.
they they stripped down to their underwear just to find a pen
And they put their
that no
hands
one
up and they
had.
jump to shake.
Yeah,
And they even say like enough to dislodge any pins.
yeah. And
Annie's
then at the end
boobs.
there, because they're trying to get out so they can go to the puppy parade, and Jeff is trying to get out so he can go to a date. And at the
Have you
end
ever
there,
even
Dean,
seen someone come to a, or what is he, something about like, have you ever seen anyone show up at a puppy parade halfway through?
yeah, and at the end there, the Dean goes in the room, study room, and it's all messed up and stuff because they're throwing off the tables and stuff. He's like, What went on in here?" And Abed's like something you and your puppies can never even dream of. You immiraculous. Maybe calls him a bitch.
You
I'm not sure.
immiraculous son of a bitch. Yeah.
Son of
Unmiraculous son of a bitch.
a. He's like, Abed, miraculous.
The First of all, Jim Rash as an actor is great in everything that I have ever seen him in. I haven't seen him in a lot of stuff, but I love Harley Quinn. I love Community. There's one more that I'm missing. And then second of all, my favorite part of that whole episode though is the fact that at the end for the viewer there is a payoff. At the end you do get like a little snippet of part of the puppy parade,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, so that's a bottle episode, but we still got to see some puppies, you know. It's like very gratifying for the viewer.
And then there was, and then there was one at the end. There was a cats and dogs. There was something like world peace, and
Yeah,
Dean
it's like
didn't
a
like it for some
heavy-handed
reason.
political statement or whatever.
Yeah,
It's great. Community, folks, go watch the first 3 seasons of Community. I would even forgive you if you said 2.5 seasons of Community. I'd get on board if you didn't want to watch Ken Jong take over the school. I'd be okay with that. Two and a half
yeah,
seasons at
that's
least.
true.
I still like the whole third season, but I'd forgive you if you said 2.5.
I'm a fan of the last season.
The last season, after you get over the fact
It's
that no,
it's
it's not your
different.
same community characters, but that it is still
Yeah,
very, very cleverly written, I suppose is the best
yeah.
compliment you can give to that whole show. And it is. It absolutely is.
There's a man that knows how to marry his cousin.
I just got done with the episode where Troy and Abed have to pretend to be normal for Shirley and her husband's second marriage rehearsal. I can't think of his name, but then Andre. And then he thinks they're being sarcastic and he's offended because they're trying to be normal.
I've seen Malcolm Jamal Warner in person before.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's Andre?
Yes.
What
Yeah.
else is he
He
in?
came to
Like, he is familiar
came
to
to
me,
Pitt
but not in namesake.
State. Cosby Show.
Oh, okay.
That's what he was Theo.
And then at the end of that episode, or, well, not the end, close to the end, Jeff and Britta are, like, kind of semi-sarcastically, but actually about to get married, and they're just, like, fake yelling vows at each other. And just like, oh, and I promise not to be disgusted by the sight of your hair in the shower. And she's like, well, I promise to make 70% of what you would make at the same job. And he's like, and kids? She's like, what about them? How many? I don't know. Pick a number, dick. It's not like I'd have a say anyway. And that's their vows, and the priest is just, the officiant is just like looking back and forth as they do that. Pick a number, dick.
Anyway, 7.9.
7.9. No, that episode, Chris, that's like an 8.3 in comedy terms. Hey, the reunion. This is it's not a great episode, but it's good enough. And as Chris mentioned, there's
Or the
nothing
Union.
pivotal enough going on.
I'm glad it's not the Confederate, the Union.
Exactly. It's the Union only. That's my thumbnail. I put my YouTube thumbnails there, and then I save them as images or whatever. I haven't downloaded the old font to this new computer, but this current font that it just defaulted to next is so easy to read relative to the old font that my eyeballs are like, oh, this is much more pleasant to read. The other one looks way cooler, but you gotta admit, a little hard to read. Anyway, the reunion, and we'll be back next week with remembrances most likely, or if Chris gets a wild hair, we'll decide. I feel like we should at least cover the regular episode first.
No, we definitely will. Yeah.
And then it would be either after that or after the season where we would rewrite remembrances. Question, if we rewrite it, are we held to the same happenings beyond that? Like we're literally trying to fill that gap without affecting the rest of the story?
Yes.
Okay, noted.
Yes.
I will brainstorm. In the meantime, thanks, Chris, for walking us through the episode. Thanks, viewers and or listeners, for putting up with our nonsense. We appreciate it. And I got nothing else. Hey, go watch Chris's in-depth review of the Batman on the other podcast whose name I forget, but I will post it in the link, and Chris will say it now, maybe.
Comic Binge.
Excellent. I will make that the first link in the usual list of links if you want to hear Chris do that. And hopefully I'll see it tomorrow so I can offer some input that's more than just me guessing at things next week. In the meantime.
But it's not like that spoilery. I mean, for you, you'll probably be fine. But, yeah.
I mean, well, and I already listened to most of it. I was excited to see you on another podcast. I already did most of it. You can't stop me. That being said, I've tried to avoid like outright spoilers. I haven't sought out reviews or anything like that, and the people who have talked to me have all been respectful of spoilers, the three usual peoples. So no, I didn't find anything you said to be particularly spoilery. So yeah, for all you viewers as well, generally spoiler-free thoughts from Chris on his as a guest on his other podcast or on the other podcast. Thanks for watching Avatar: The Last Podcasters. We appreciate it. We'll put all the details in the description like always, and we will see you next week.
Goodbye from my Kyoshi guy.